In this tutorial, I'm going to be talking about how to use basic Photoshop edits. The first thing you want to do is open up your image. So if you go to File, Open, in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you can choose the image that you're going to be working with. Once you decide which image you're going to use, go ahead and hit Open. And it's going to open up your picture that you're going to begin editing. Before you begin editing any image, the first thing I would do is duplicate your layer or duplicate your image. That way you have two of the same images and it's going to save your original image in case you don't like the edits that were made, and you can always go back to your original. And this again is called the non-destructive editing, where you don't have to worry about losing all of your detail or what you already have. To duplicate your layer, you can go into your layers panel, which depending on how you have your workspace set up, it could be in a different place. My layers panel is over on the right side of Photoshop here. And you can see my background image. I'm going to duplicate it by right-clicking on the layer, and then I'm going to hit Duplicate Layer. I'm going to save it as background copy. I'll hit OK, and then I have a copy of my background in case I don't like the edits that I create. The first edit that we're going to be talking about is how to straighten and crop your image. Looking at this picture here, you can tell that the background or this horizon line is at a slant, and I don't want it slanted like that, so I need to use the straighten tool to straighten that horizon line. In order to straighten my horizon line, I'm going to go to my Tools panel, which is located on my workspace on the left side of Photoshop over here. And this is where you're going to get a lot of tools that you're going to be working with throughout the semester. But we're starting out with this crop tool here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm clicking on my crop tool. Once you've selected your crop tool, you're able to go ahead and look up in the tool panel at the top, and you see some of the different options that you can use the cropping tool for. And one of those options is to straighten your image. So we're going to start out and straighten the image. So I'm going to click that box there. And one other setting that I want to make sure that I have unchecked is this box that says delete cropped pixels. You want to make sure that you're always using this non-destructive editing. So in order to continue with that, we're going to uncheck the box that says delete crop pixels. So make sure you don't have a check in that box. Now that you have your straighten tool selected, you're going to use it to straighten that horizon line on your image or straighten whatever image you have. So I'm just going to click and drag my straightening tool along the angle that I already have, so along my horizon line here where the trees and the water meet, and then I'm going to let go. And as you can see, it automatically is straightening the picture for me. So now this horizon line is a lot more level and straight. Now that I have my image straightened how I want it, I'm going to click this little check button here, or you could hit enter, and it's going to show your image now straightened. The next thing that you're going to be working on is cropping your image. So think back to when we learned about photo composition. You want to make sure that you're cropping your image, applying the rule of thirds. So I'm going to make sure I have my crop tool selected again over here. And I'm going to look at my lines that come up, and I'm going to use those to measure to the rule of thirds, making sure that my focal point, or the person in this image, is on that third line. Now that I have my focal point on the rule of thirds, I'm going to begin to edit the lighting of my image and the contrast. So the first tool that we're going to be working with is called Levels, and Levels is going to be able to adjust the lighting of your image. To begin working with levels, you're going to add your levels or your edit onto a new layer to continue using the non-destructive editing. So I'm going to go over to Layer at the top here so that I add that new layer, so I can always delete it if I need to. And I'm going to go down to New Adjustment Layer. And under my adjustment layers, there's some of the different tools that we're going to be working with, levels and curves. I'm going to select levels. And once I have my levels selected, I'm going to hit OK. And now this little histogram is going to pop up, and this is going to show you how you should be adjusting the levels in your image for you. and we're going to be adjusting them based off of color. So we're going to start off with using this little drop down menu here and select the first color, red. And in order to edit kind of the lighting on all the red values within your picture, you're going to hold down Option on your keyboard, and you can start to click and drag on one of the little pointers at the bottom of the histogram. And this is going to show you how much you need to adjust the darkness or the shadows in your image based off of the reds that are found in your picture. So you're going to adjust it until you start to see some of the little black pieces coming into the color here, and then release it. And then you're going to look at the highlights or the values on the right side of your histogram here as well and adjust those colors and values. So I'm going to click and drag, and then I don't want too much of that red to start showing up. I just want to adjust it so that a little bit of that red starts to show up so that you know you have kind of a good lighting or good levels on that value or color. So now that I've gone through red, I'm going to click that drop down arrow again and select green. I'm going to do the same thing, hold down Option and adjust the lighting on the shadows for the green colors. And I'm going to release, and then I'm going to adjust the highlights on the green values as well. Then I'm going to use my last color, which is blue, and adjust the lighting there. So I'm going to click and drag on the left and hold down Option, click and drag on the right. So now that I have my levels finished, you can start to see the difference between kind of the value and the edits that you just made by hiding your image or hiding your level here. So once I hide that, you can see how my image started, and this is how my image is finishing up. So you can really tell the difference there with the levels. The next edit that we're going to make is similar to levels, how it's going to adjust the contrast and lighting of your image. So we're going to go up again to Layer at the top of your toolbar here, and all the way down to New Adjustment Layer, and then Curves. So we're going to be working again with this new layer so that you can always delete it if you don't like how the curves look or push your image. So I'm going to use this histogram on my curves, and I'm going to just slightly adjust it to create an S-curve. So I'm going to click and drag kind of towards the top of my histogram here, and that's kind of the top of my S that I'm going to create. So I'm creating that contrast with my highlights. Then I'm going to click and drag the bottom portion of my histogram here to create those shadows and contrast in the shadows. So now once I hide my histogram, I can start to see the adjustments that I made with my curves once I hide it and then bring it back. So you can see that contrast and the darks and the highlights were really brought out a lot more using this S-curve in creating contrast.